All right, so today we're diving deep into something that might surprise you, life
Oh,
insurance.
life insurance, huh?
Yeah. But hold on, before you think it's all doom and gloom, you gotta trust me on this. This deep dive is about way more than just what happens after we're gone.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We've got some really interesting source material here, case studies and expert insights, and they paint a totally different picture of life insurance. It's like this powerful financial tool,
A powerful tool, huh? How so?
We're talking security, peace of mind, and even some serious financial power, all while we're still here.
Okay, now you got my attention. So what's the angle here? What are these sources saying?
Well, one of them comes right out and says, life insurance, I us money.
Whoa, that's a bold statement.
It is, right?
Yeah.
But it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
For sure. It definitely makes you want to expand the subject, like go beyond the typical death benefit stuff.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to explore how people are actually using life insurance in ways I bet you've never even thought of.
So give me the rundown. What kind of examples are we talking about?
We've got three main case studies to unpack. A young family, a single parent who's dealing with an unpredictable income, and then a business owner.
Okay, that's a good mix. Sounds like very different situations.
They are, but the interesting thing is they all tie back to this idea of life insurance as money, you know? Each case study kind of tackles a different angle of that concept.
And I'm guessing that despite their differences, all three cases are going to highlight that need for a financial safety net.
You got it. It's all about that peace of mind.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So let's start breaking this down. First up, the young family. Tell me about them.
Okay, so we've got Sarah and Mark. Pretty typical situation. They're dealing with student loans, a mortgage, saving for their kids' college.
All the fun stuff that comes with being a young family.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting. Their life insurance policy isn't just about replacing Mark's income if something were to happen to him.
Which is what most people think of, right?
Yeah, the traditional view. But in their case, it's structured to completely wipe out their debt, like all of it. So if something happened, Sarah and the kids wouldn't be stuck with those financial burdens.
Whoa, that's a game changer. So it's not just about keeping their heads above water, it's about setting them up for real financial stability.
Exactly. It's about achieving a level of security they might not reach otherwise.
I can see how that would bring a lot of peace of mind, especially with young kids involved.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears to Tom, our single parent. His story really stood out to me because the source mentions his income is unpredictable, which I imagine adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Definitely. Tell me more about his situation.
So Tom's a freelance graphic designer, which,
Yeah.
you know, feast or famine kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I get it. So his income fluctuates a lot, makes it hard to plan for the future.
Right. And he's got a daughter, Emily, to think about.
Okay, so how does life insurance fit into the picture?
Well, what stuck with me was how the source described Tom's mindset after getting life insurance. It said he can finally live without that constant fear of what could happen.
Powerful stuff. Knowing Emily would be taken care of no matter what, that's got to be a huge weight off his shoulders.
Totally. And it allows him to focus on being present with her, enjoying their time together. No more financial anxiety hanging over his head.
I bet. All right, on to case study number 3. Lisa, the business owner. What's her deal?
So Lisa owns a bakery, right? And the source material mentions this thing called key person insurance. And I have to admit, I had no clue what that was before diving into this.
Key person insurance. Interesting. Break it down for me. What's the gist?
Okay, so imagine if Lisa's bakery suddenly lost her. Like, she's the heart and soul of the place, you know? The recipes, the relationships with suppliers, everything.
Right. She's the key person.
Exactly. So if she were gone, it could really hurt the business, potentially even impact her employees' livelihoods and leave her business partner in a tough spot.
So this key person insurance is designed to protect the business itself from those financial consequences.
Yep. It makes sure that if Lisa were to pass away, there would be money to cover debts, maybe hire someone new, and basically help the bakery stay afloat.
So it's protecting more than just Lisa's family. It's about the future of her entire business.
It is. And it made me realize, wow, life insurance goes way beyond just thinking about your immediate loved ones.
Right. It can impact a whole network of people and financial interests.
It can. And we're just scratching the surface here. These are just specific cases, but the implications are much bigger, you know?
Definitely. We need to go deeper. We need to talk about why life insurance is something everyone should consider.
I'm with you. It's easy to get caught up in the details of individual stories, but let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Exactly. So tell me, what are some of those fundamental reasons why this is relevant for everyone listening?
Well, one thing that really hit home for me was the peace of mind it provides, like knowing your loved ones are financially secure no matter what.
Can't put a price tag on that.
You can't. And it made me think about my own experience when my dad passed away suddenly a few years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was tough. But the life insurance policy he had, it made such a difference for my mom.
In what way?
It allowed her to grieve without that added stress of immediate financial worries.
Mm.
And knowing she was taken care of, it was one less thing she had to deal with during such a difficult time.
That speaks volumes about the emotional value of life insurance, something people don't always think about.
They don't. And beyond the emotional side of things, there's also that practical aspect of maintaining financial stability.
Right. Protecting against those curveballs life throws at you.
Exactly. Life insurance can help cover debts, replace lost income, make sure your loved ones can keep going without having to make huge sacrifices.
It's about taking control of your financial future.
It is. And you know what? While we're on this topic, I think it's worth pausing for a second and asking everyone listening to consider their own situation.
What do you mean?
Well, think about your financial commitments, your mortgage, loans, just everyday expenses. How would those be managed without your income?
That's a good point.
Right. Life insurance can be that bridge, that continuity that would be hard to achieve otherwise.
Okay, I'm following you. So we've talked about peace of mind, financial stability, but let's be real. The death benefit isn't the whole story, is it?
It's not. And the sources we're looking at, they touch on this idea of life insurance as a potential tool for building wealth.
Now that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so certain policies, like whole life and universal life insurance, they go beyond just a death benefit. They actually build up cash value over time.
Cash value.
Yeah, think of it like a savings account that grows tax deferred. And you can even borrow against it or withdraw from it for different things.
So it's like this hybrid thing. You get the protection of life insurance and the potential to grow your money at the same time.
Exactly. It's a way to create long-term financial security for your family, maybe help fund a child's education, even supplement your retirement income down the line.
Hold on, back up a bit. You said whole life and universal life. For those of us who aren't insurance whizzes, could you break those terms down?
Oh, you're right. I kind of jumped into the jargon there.
No worries. I just want to make sure I'm following along.
Okay, so term life insurance is the simplest one. It covers you for a specific period, like 10 or 20 years. If you pass away during that time, your beneficiaries get the death benefit.
And that's usually the most affordable option, right?
It is, but it doesn't have any of that cash value stuff. It's purely about protection for a set amount of time.
Gotcha. Now, what about whole life?
Whole life is designed to cover you for your entire life. It costs more, but that's because it includes the cash value component we were talking about.
Okay, so that cash value grows without being taxed, and you can access it through loans or withdrawals.
You got it. It's like having a built-in savings plan within your insurance policy.
Interesting. And then there's universal life. What makes that one different?
Universal life gives you more flexibility than whole life. You can adjust your premiums and death benefit as you go, and the cash value growth is linked to how the market performs.
Okay, that's starting to paint a clearer picture for me. So term life is the straightforward option. Whole life provides lifelong coverage and that savings aspect, and universal life offers more flexibility and potential for growth linked to market returns.
You got it. But remember, this is just a very basic overview. The best type of life insurance for you, it all depends on your individual needs and goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
For sure. Every situation is different.
Exactly. And speaking of different situations, let's circle back to Lisa, our business owner. We were talking about key person insurance earlier, but are there other types of life insurance that are relevant to business owners?
Oh, absolutely. Key person insurance is just one piece of the puzzle. There are a bunch of life insurance products designed specifically for businesses, whether you're a sole proprietor, part of a partnership, or running a larger corporation.
So it's not just about protecting the business from losing a key person, it's also about protecting the owners themselves.
Exactly. And one thing I always emphasize is that you should think about life insurance early on in a business's life, not just when a crisis hits.
Makes sense. Planning ahead can save a lot of headaches later.
It can. It's about creating a strong foundation for your business, ensuring its success no matter what challenges come up.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, different types of life insurance, how it can be used for individuals and businesses, and why it's important to plan ahead. And I think the main takeaway so far is that life insurance is way more versatile than most people realize.
Definitely. And I think it's important to shift your perspective on life insurance. It's not just about preparing for the worst. It's about taking charge of your financial future and creating a legacy of security and peace of mind for yourself and everyone you care about.
It's about recognizing that life insurance is money, a powerful financial tool that can help you reach your goals.
Exactly. So with that in mind, let's dive deeper into some of the finer points. What are some specific ways people can use life insurance to maximize those financial benefits and create a truly solid financial plan?
Okay, I gotta admit, my brain is kind of doing a workout trying to process all this. It's like one of the biggest things I'm taking away is that life insurance isn't just about avoiding bad stuff. It's about creating good stuff,
Yeah.
opportunities.
Absolutely. We often get stuck thinking about life insurance as just protection against loss, but it can also be this powerful engine for building wealth and hitting financial goals that might seem out of reach otherwise.
Yeah, that whole wealth building aspect really caught my attention. You were talking about certain policies like whole life insurance having that cash value component that grows tax deferred. Can you break that down a bit more? Like, how does that actually work and what's so great about it?
Sure. So with a whole life policy, some of what you pay in premiums goes toward building up that cash value account.
Yeah.
And the money in that account, it grows without being taxed until you take it out.
So it's like this hidden savings account that's also giving you life insurance coverage.
That's a good way to think about it. And here's where it gets really cool. You can actually borrow against that cash value if you need to.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Let's say you've got a big expense coming up, down payments on a house, your kids' college tuition, something like that. You can potentially tap into your policy's cash value without getting hit with a tax penalty, as long as you pay the loan back.
That's wild. It's like having a built-in line of credit right there in your insurance policy.
Exactly. And unlike a regular loan, you don't have to pay it back if you don't want to. Of course, anything you don't pay back would reduce the death benefit that goes to your beneficiary.
Right, that makes sense. So it's like this flexible safety net you can use for all sorts of things.
That's the idea. And on top of that, there's a potential for tax advantage withdrawals. Let's say you need to access the cash value for retirement income, for example. You can take it out tax-free up to the amount you've paid in premiums.
Whoa, so it's like a retirement savings plan tucked right into your life insurance.
It can definitely be part of your overall retirement strategy. Now, it's important to remember that using life insurance for saving or investing is a bit more complicated than just buying a policy and hoping for the best.
Right. There's got to be some catches.
Well, there are fees and expenses involved with these types of policies, and the growth of that cash value isn't guaranteed. It's really important to work with a financial advisor who knows their stuff, someone who can guide you through the ins and outs and help you figure out if it's the right move for your situation.
Solid advice. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, and having an expert in your corner makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Now, since we're talking about individual situations, let's address something that often comes up: taxes. Specifically, how life insurance is treated by the taxman.
Ooh, taxes. Not exactly the most thrilling topic, but definitely important to understand. So break it down for us. What do we need to know?
Okay, so the good news is that the death benefit, the money that goes to your beneficiaries, is generally tax-free, meaning your loved ones get the full amount without the IRS taking a cut.
That's huge. Knowing your family won't be hit with a big tax bill on top of everything else, that's got to be a relief.
It is. Now, when we're talking about that cash value component of permanent life insurance policies like whole life, things get a little more tricky.
Tricky how?
Well, remember how we said the growth within that cash value account is tax deferred? That means you don't pay taxes on those gains until you actually withdraw the money.
So you're basically delaying those taxes, letting the money grow more over time.
Exactly. But there are some rules and limits to keep in mind, like if you withdraw more than what you've paid in premiums, those withdrawals might be taxed as income. And if you cancel your policy early, you might have to pay taxes on any gains in the cash value account.
Okay, so definitely some things to be aware of before making any withdrawals or canceling a policy.
For sure. Talking to a financial advisor or a tax professional can help you navigate all those details and make sure you're getting the most out of your policy.
This has been eye-opening, I have to say. We've gone way beyond just seeing life insurance as a safety net and into some pretty sophisticated financial strategies. But before we go too deep down that rabbit hole, let's bring it back to the human side of things for a minute. Earlier, you mentioned peace of mind as a big benefit of life insurance. Can you unpack that a bit more? Like, what does that peace of mind actually look like in real life?
It's that feeling of knowing you've done something tangible to protect the people you love, even when things are uncertain. Imagine knowing that no matter what curveballs life throws your way, your family's financial future is secure. They won't have to worry about losing their home, struggling to pay bills, or giving up their dreams because of a financial setback.
It's about creating a legacy of security, knowing that even if you're not there, your family will be okay.
Exactly. It's about giving your loved ones the space to focus on their lives, their passions, their future, of financial anxiety holding them back.
You know, it makes me think about when I was younger, going through a tough time. My dad sat me down and said, "Look, I know things are hard right now, but no matter what happens, you'll always be taken care of. You won't ever have to worry about the basics, food, shelter, those things." And knowing that he had planned ahead, put those safety nets in place, it gave me this incredible sense of peace. It's hard to even describe.
That's a perfect example of how life insurance isn't just about money. It's about emotional support, too. It's a way of showing love and care, saying, I've got your back no matter what.
It's like having a guardian angel looking out for your family, even when you can't be there yourself.
I love that. And that peace of mind, it goes beyond just your immediate family. Think about business partners, employees, even charities you support. Knowing their interests are protected, they can create stability and allow them to thrive.
It's about leaving a positive impact that lasts beyond your own lifetime.
Exactly. A ripple effect of security and well-being that can touch generations to come.
So we've covered a lot: peace of mind, financial stability, the potential to build wealth, even tax advantages. It seems like life insurance is this incredibly versatile tool with uses in almost every part of our financial lives. But with all this complexity, where do you even begin? How do you know what type of policy is right for you? How do you figure out how much coverage you actually need?
Those are great questions. And they bring us to the next crucial step, understanding your individual needs and goals.
It's like we've been given this giant toolbox, right? Filled with all these different life insurance gadgets and gizmos, but now we got to figure out which ones we actually need and how to use them.
That's a perfect way to put it. And like any toolbox, the trick is picking the right tool for the job. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to life insurance. The right policy, it all depends on your situation, what you're trying to achieve financially, and how much risk you're okay with.
Okay, so let's say I'm listening to this and thinking, all right, this all makes sense in theory, but I'm totally clueless about where to even begin. What's the first step? What should someone do to figure out what they need when it comes to life insurance?
Start by taking a good, hard look at your financial situation right now and where you want to be in the future. Look at your income, expenses, assets, debts, the whole picture. Think about your family, your age, your health. What's most important to you? Are you trying to protect your family, secure your business, build wealth for the long term?
It's like taking inventory, seeing where the gaps are.
Exactly. Once you've got a handle on your needs, then you can start exploring the different life insurance options and see which ones line up with your goals.
Okay, so let's say I've done my homework, I've figured out what I need. How do I actually go about picking the right policy? It seems like there are a million different types out there: term, life, whole life, universal life. It's overwhelming.
It can be, for sure. And that's where working with a good financial advisor can be a lifesaver. They can help you sort through all the options, explain the pros and cons of each one, and ultimately recommend a solution that's tailored to you.
It's like having a guide through the life insurance maze.
Exactly. A good advisor will ask the right questions, listen to your concerns, and really personalize their recommendations.
All right, so let's fast forward a bit. I've found an advisor I trust. We've decided life insurance makes sense for me. Now, the big question: how much coverage do I actually need? Is there some magic formula for figuring that out?
There's no one-size-fits-all formula, unfortunately. But there are some guidelines and calculations that can help you get a good estimate. A common approach is to think about income replacement. Like, how much money would your family need to replace your income if, you weren't around anymore?
So if I make, say, $100,000 a year and my family depends on that money, I'd need a policy with a death benefit of at least $100,000.
That's a good starting point, yeah. But it's important to factor in other things, too. Debts you have, your kids' education expenses, any other financial obligations you want to make sure are covered.
So it's about looking at the big picture, making sure there's enough coverage to handle everything.
You got it. And don't forget about inflation. Prices keep going up, so you got to make sure your coverage can keep up, too.
Oh, right. I hadn't thought about that. So it's not just about replacing my income today, it's about making sure my family can maintain their lifestyle down the road.
Exactly. And that's one of the things a financial advisor can really help with. They've got tools and software to project those future costs, factor in inflation, and calculate how much coverage you'll need to stay ahead of the curve.
Sounds a lot more involved than just picking a random number.
It is. It's a big decision, and it's worth putting some thought into it.
Okay, so we've figured out how much coverage I need, what kind of policy is right for me, what happens next, what's the process like for actually applying for life insurance.
Usually, you'll fill out an application, pretty detailed, lots of questions about your health history, your lifestyle, your finances, and you might have to do a medical exam too. Blood work, urine tests, a physical.
So they really want to get a full picture of your health and risk level.
Right. They use all that information to decide if you're eligible for coverage and what your premium will be.
Makes sense. Healthier people would probably pay less since they're less risky to insure.
That's the general idea. And I know medical exams aren't always fun, but the more info the insurance company has, the better they can assess your risk and give you the best possible rates.
Okay, so I've sent in my application, done the medical exam. Now what? How long until I find out if I'm covered?
It depends, really. It could take a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months. The insurance company has to review everything, your application, medical records, all that stuff. It's called the underwriting process.
So it's not like instant approval.
Not usually. They want to be thorough, make sure they're making the right call.
I get it. So while they're doing all that reviewing, what are they looking for? What kind of things might affect whether I get approved or what my rates will be?
They're mainly trying to gauge your risk level. And that's based on a bunch of factors: your age, health history, lifestyle choices, even your family's medical history, things like smoking, high blood pressure, certain illnesses. Those can all potentially impact your rates.
So it's really important to be upfront and honest on the application.
Totally. Giving accurate info is super important. If you leave stuff out or aren't truthful, it could mess things up later. Your policy could get denied or your benefits could be reduced.
Okay, gotcha. So let's say I get approved, what then? Do I just start paying premiums and that's it?
Once you're approved, you'll get a policy document.
Mm-hmm.
It lays out all the details, what's covered, what's not, how to file a claim if you need to.
It's like reading the fine print, but for your life insurance.
Exactly. It's important to actually go through that document so you know what you're getting into. No surprises down the line.
Speaking of surprises, what are some common mistakes people make with life insurance? Things we should watch out for?
One big one is not getting enough coverage. People underestimate what they need or just focus on replacing their income without thinking about other financial stuff like debt or future expenses.
Right. We talked earlier about the importance of looking at the whole picture, making sure your coverage aligns with your overall goals.
Exactly. Another mistake is waiting too long to get coverage. The older you get, the higher your health risks usually are, and that means higher premiums. It's almost always cheaper to get covered when you're younger and healthier.
Makes sense. It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Love that. And speaking of time, another pitfall is forgetting to review your coverage every now and then. Life changes, your income might go up, you might have kids, start a business. It's important to check in on your life insurance needs and adjust your coverage if necessary.
Like getting a financial checkup, making sure your life insurance is still doing its job.
You got it. And lastly, one of the biggest mistakes I see is people trying to go it alone, without professional advice. Life insurance can be complicated, and it's easy to get lost in all the options. Working with a knowledgeable advisor can save you a ton of time, money, and stress.
It's like having a trusted co-pilot to navigate the world of life insurance.
Exactly. A good advisor will be your advocate, help you understand your choices, make smart decisions, and put together a plan that fits your big picture financial goals.
Wow, I feel like we've come a long way. We started out feeling kind of lost in the life insurance woods, and now we've got a compass and a map to guide us.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The key is to take action, start asking questions, and find an expert you can trust. Life insurance can be a powerful tool for security, peace of mind, and taking control of your finances. Don't wait to explore what it can do for you.
Well said. I hope our listeners are feeling empowered to take charge of their financial futures. Any last words of wisdom for our audience?
Life throws a lot of curveballs, but with a little planning and preparation, you can face the future with confidence, knowing that you and your loved ones are protected. Never underestimate the power of life insurance. It's a gift you can give yourself and the people you care about most.
Beautiful. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of life insurance. Thanks to everyone for joining us on this journey. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights and empowered you to make smart choices about your financial future.
Until next time.
Happy diving!